Mind, the master force for health or disease. That's a chapter title inside Bernard McFadden's Vitality Supreme. If you're not familiar with Bernard McFadden, he is the father of physical culture, one of the early guys that really got people into health and into exercise. This is an important concept. Mind, the master force for health or disease. Let's get into why this is so in this video. We humans have this conscious mind, which is really quite fascinating, miraculous even. The conscious mind allows us to consciously plan things, to consciously think about things. Unlike animals who are operating on instinct, and yeah, I agree there's mind there and different levels of it, very complicated manner, but we are certainly unique in some regards with the capacities of our conscious mind, what we can do with language, abstract thought, reflexive thinking, all of that. So the mind allows us to think about health and do things with our health to consciously direct us toward materials and various things that we can do. This is both good and bad, because if you look at ill health and how we as a species have largely brought a lot of this chronic ill health onto ourselves, you can see that the mind can be used for nefarious purposes. But then we've also done so many amazing things for our health as well. So let's bring it down to a personal level. How are you using your mind in order to create health or to create disease? Your mind is being used. Let's just make sure that it's being consciously used and directed towards a purpose rather than kind of subconsciously, unconsciously, and operating on autopilot. One of the first things to realize about the power of the mind is the placebo effect. And many people automatically equate the placebo effect to taking sugar pills, right? Some sort of scientific experiment, the intervention, whatever it is tested against placebo. But understand this, the placebo effect is operational in just about anything. That means your very behaviors that you do can also have a placebo effect. Now, a placebo effect, a lot of people equate that as a bad thing, right? But what does this prove? This proves the power of your mind. So, are you using the mind as the master force that it is for health or disease? So when we look at the various behaviors we can engage in, whether that is changing our diet, changing our sleep habits, looking at various nature-based things that we can do, these things can have a very real effect, absolutely. And the placebo effect can be done on top of that. Another thing we can look at regarding the mind is our expectations. And this has to do a lot with the placebo effect. Do you expect something that you do to work or not work? And then our beliefs. This is one of the most important levels or aspects of that mental level that we're operating on. What do you believe about your health? How much power do you have over your health? Are you still under the false belief that genetics determine everything? This was a scientific belief that was passed for a long time, genetic determinism. And it led to a lot of money being spent on the Human Genome Project. And though there were promises about it curing all disease, and basically that has not happened. There does seem to be a couple of diseases that are very specific genetic mutations. And that we can see that. But the vast majority of other diseases, 99% of them, there is no single gene for it. There's not even multiple genes. It's a very complicated manner. Even still today, people are promising, oh, we'll figure out all the gene stuff and we'll cure all disease later on. I'm telling you it's not going to happen because genetic determinism is a falsified theory. It is not working out. Genes are important, sure, they have a role to play, but there is so much we can do, epigenetics and much more than that, how we can influence through our behaviors, through our thoughts, through our mind, through our diet, through all the different things we do, the gene expression. What gets expressed in our body turns on, turns off, how these cells operate in them. Because that's the thing, we have a really miraculous system, this different levels of this cellular intelligence that's going on, and that brings rise to this conscious mind that we have. So you can notice we have all these cells. We're not just our cells, but our symbiotic microbiome as well, the bacteria, even the viral component, the mycology, all these other parts at us. So the conscious mind is best thought of as a steward for your health. So how are you stewarding your health in the right direction? And no matter where you're at, No matter how old you are or young you are, there are things you can be doing to start course correcting what you're doing with your health, to steer things in the right direction. Because here's the thing, a single meal does not really matter much. I mean, if you are allergic to peanuts to the point where it's going to kill you and you eat peanuts, yeah, it matters there. But for average, most cases, right, a single meal is not going to have that big of an impact. A single workout, same sort of thing. We have to look at the habits. 100 meals, does that matter? 100 workouts, does that matter? Yes. At that point, we are changing direction. It's not a single isolated event, but we are changing direction. So this is how you need to be using your mind towards the things you want to get. And the health is very important. Health is the foundation from which you can begin to do other things in your life. After all, it's your health. You know, the saying goes, if you don't have your health, you don't have much of anything. So get this foundation right. I'm not saying it's the most important thing in life, but it certainly is important, and the time's going to pass anyway. If you do the right actions towards the right habits and keep your mind focused on these things until they're set up and can really be done on autopilot, then you're going to have great results. You're going to be using the master force in the proper direction, the direction that gets the results you want. If you like this kind of thing, I have a whole lot more for you, and I definitely would like to work with you one-on-one. You can check out my new Virtuous Vitality coaching program. That's over at virtuousvitality.com. In it, we're going to look at this systems level of looking at all these different aspects of health, the mind just being one of them, but a very important part. So we're going to look into the psychology, look into those beliefs, look into those habits, look into all these things to really deliver the best health possible. Health not just as an absence of disease, as many people think of it, but this virtuous vitality that you can have that I'd like to think I've cultivated for myself. It's a work in progress, always improving on it, but you too can have this, to have your health be at that superpower level of ability that other people are in awe of, are inspired by, are even jealous of. That's all good. You can have that. It is possible. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter where you're starting at. If you're willing to work at it, you can get there. So join me at virtuousvitality.com.